Niklsun here, and welcome to Coming Soon Movie News with Niklsun. I'm your host, and on this show, every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, we'll be going over all of the day's movie news, as well as going over what it means for the production in general, such as casting decisions, trailer announcements, director announcements, things like that. So, without any further ado, let's get started with today's Hot Topics. And with this first topic today, I'm going to come right out and say, I told you so. I talked about this a while ago on the show about how the news came out, the reason why they were postponing the upcoming Bourne Legacy sequel. It was originally supposed to come out in 2015. They pushed it back to 2016. And the reason that came out was from El Miimbi at Latino Review. And he came out and said the reason that they're delaying it is because Matt Damon's going to be coming back. And something unusual happened. And I even stated that this is unusual because they never do this. But Frank Marshall, the producer of the Bourne series, came out and refuted that claim. If anybody ever comes out with any information that is incorrect, the studio never comes out and says, no, you're wrong, that's not the real reason. They never do that. They always just say, well, hey, let them spool in the rumors. You know, let them just think what they want to think. That's not actually what's going on. So with Frank Marshall coming out and saying, no, that's not the case, I called it right then and there. I said, this is the reason. This is exactly the reason why, because studios never do this. Well, it looks as though that's the case. But it's not the reason or the situation that we thought it was. It's not that Matt Damon is coming into the Bourne Legacy sequel. He is not going to be joining Jeremy Renner's character, so far as we know. The Bourne Legacy sequel was going to be helmed by Justin Lin, who has most recently directed Fast and Furious 3, 4, 5, and 6. He passed off on doing number 7 because he felt that he was just getting stale in the franchise, that they needed to take it in a new direction, and so that's why they brought on the new director. But he has been toying with what project he wants to do next, and he signed on a while ago to direct the Bourne Legacy sequel. He's also rumored to be developing the first 2 episodes of the next season of True Detective, and he's got a couple other projects that he's working on. Well, this is not going to be the case because it looks as though Paul Greengrass, the director of The Bourne Supremacy and The Bourne Ultimatum, he's also directed such movies as Green Zone and most recently Captain Phillips with Tom Hanks. It looks as though he's going to be coming back, and that has been Matt Damon's contingency the whole time. He had said, you know, I'm open to returning, but only if Paul Greengrass comes back to direct. He won't do it without him. So what they've actually done, and now this could change in terms of who's involved in the movie, but as it stands right now, they are pushing Bourne Legacy sequel to an undisclosed release date. This new Bourne 5 movie is going to be taking the place of July, I believe it's July 15th, 2016. They're going to be taking Bourne Legacy's Bourne Legacy sequel's place. Now, speculation has been going on that, you know, these two are going to be teaming up, that it's going to be Renner versus Matt Damon. And I personally think that that should be the way that they should go with this film. I don't think that this should be just another Bourne movie because he's now got his memories back. If they do have a really cool idea to take it in, absolutely, then go that route. But to me, it makes more sense to try to flesh out this universe and incorporate these two people, because that's almost what people were expecting by the end of Bourne Legacy. The amount of times that they referenced Jason Bourne throughout that film, even though he wasn't even in it, you felt that by the end of the movie, he's going to team up, or you're going to see him standing there, you know, just the camera to his back, talking on a phone and saying, he's mine, or something like that. I thought that would have been a great ending to that movie, by the way. But it looks as though the Bourne Legacy sequel will be shelved for the time being. What I would love to see is them start to do a yearly thing. I talked about this the other day about how, you know, as us fans, we kind of do want to get more from the studios, even though nowadays we're only getting established franchises. We're not really getting any new material coming out, but with established franchises, they can really start to try to combine them. And with them trying to set up the Bourne Legacy to be a completely separate film and a separate series within this world, it's going to take them a little bit of time to really try to get their stride back and to really try to get back on what they feel is their right path, because I think right now they're only thinking that that is including Jason Bourne, and I really hope that that's not the case, because I really did enjoy what they did with the Bourne Legacy. I felt that it could have used a few more plot points. I really did feel that the plot was very weak in the movie. That's one thing that the other films did not lack, but I really did enjoy Renner's version of this character. I enjoyed the mythology that they created, where Treadstone was just the beginning, and now, you know, there's all these other factions of assassins that they have that are now even chemically controlled, and some of them have the exact same. Some of them have the exact same capabilities as the assassins with the chemicals, but they are now chem-free. They really did a great job of setting up this world. I hope they don't try to just abandon all of that and go on with a Bourne 5 without anything that they've already established. I personally would like to see Jeremy Renner join Matt Damon or go against him, and then have the Bourne Legacy sequel spin off onto its own thing. And that's what I would really like to see. But it is really exciting to see that Matt Damon is going to be coming back to the Bourne character, the one that I think a lot of people most know him for. It really did kind of reinvigorate his career. He was known as Ben Affleck's best friend. He was known as the really, you know, the strapping, good-looking guy, but he was very scrawny. And then he did the Bourne Identity, and people completely changed their opinion on him and their viewpoint on him. So I am really hoping that this movie comes out and it is the way that we all envision. It will be coming out, as it stands right now, it will be coming out July 15th, 2016. But yeah, again, like I said, I really do hope that these two do cross paths in the movie. I hope they don't just abandon Renner's character and only have him for his sequel film. I really do hope that they bring him in, even if it's just in a smaller role. Even if it's just not necessarily a cameo, but just have him in a smaller section of the film to aid Bourne or to go against him. One or the two. I really do think that's the way that they should go. But anyway, if we do get more information about this topic, I will definitely update you guys on here. I think everyone out there can agree that when it came to San Diego Comic-Con, at least this year, there were not a lot of surprises. But one of the biggest surprises was the fact that Warner Brothers, that Legendary Pictures, went ahead and announced that they are moving forward with a Skull Island movie. At the time, it was announced that it would be some sort of King Kong origin story that would further explore the mysterious island itself. But outside of that, nothing was known. They just did pigeonhole a release date of November 4th, 2016. But they didn't announce anything else other than that. Well, it looks as though we've got our actor and our director. Justin Vogt-Roberts, who is the director of The Kings of Summer, will be directing this new film. But it will be starring Loki himself. Tom Hiddleston has signed on to star in the upcoming Skull Island adaptation. Now, outside of the plot, or outside of this, we don't know anything else about the plot. We do not know if it will focus on King Kong. We do not know if it'll focus on the island and have Kong there, as well as other creatures. Maybe not necessarily that he will fight, but that will fight each other, and then also Kong. Everything's up in the air right now. We really don't have a firm grasp as to what this movie's going to entail. And they still have over 2 years to get it done, so they've got a lot of time. The interesting thing with this, though, is just looking at what the studios are now doing in terms of picking their directors. They are, at least from outside viewpoints, they are not necessarily picking directors who are financial successes. They're not picking the Michael Bays. They're not picking those types of directors. They're picking directors who they know can tell a really great story. I mean, just look at in the last couple of years, we have Colin Trevorrow, who directed Safety Not Guaranteed, a very small indie film starring Aubrey Plaza. Now he's directing Jurassic World. You had the Russo brothers, who were mostly known for doing Community. And then they went on to direct Captain America Winter Soldier. You had James Gunn, who had directed such movies as Slither and Super. Very small, very, very small films. But these guys are storytellers, and he was handpicked to direct Guardians of the Galaxy. Well, now we have Justin Vogt-Roberts, who he directed The Kings of Summer, which was a beloved film. A lot of people really enjoyed that movie. I personally have not seen it yet. It is on my queue to watch. I have a very large queue of movies that I still need to get caught up on. But from everything that I've heard and everything that I've read online, what he was able to do in that movie, not just with the characters, but with the storytelling, with the way that he moved everything along, the pacing, it wasn't just beat by beat by beat. You felt engaged. I really do think that that's the way that the studios are looking. They don't care. They'll put the right team around them. That's exactly what Kevin Feige said when he was asked about why he chose James Gunn. A guy whose, I think, largest budgeted film at that point was $10, maybe $15 million. I don't even think it was that high. But they asked him, like, why would you choose somebody like this to direct a big tentpole movie? And he said, because we look for great storytellers. We can surround him with the best visual effects visual effects supervisor, the best set designers, the best costume designers. They can surround these people with those individuals to make sure that they get the best possible outcome. And so studios are not looking at whether or not now if a director came out and they had a movie that bombed, that critically was just meh, and that did not either just make its money back or didn't make any money, they're not obviously going to look at that guy, because clearly he does not have a firm grasp. He or she, sorry, does not have a firm grasp on the correct way to tell a proper story in the visual medium. So having this guy come in and direct, I think, is going to be a breath of fresh air. I really do think that this is going to be another situation where we get the right type of people behind the camera to tell the right story. Because I know that they are looking at revamping this. Most likely the reason is because we now have, Legendary has, remember this, Legendary has the rights to King Kong, to Godzilla, and Pacific Rim. In my personal opinion, the only reason that they are developing a Skull Island movie is because we will be eventually getting some kind of mega mashup movie. Now, whether or not it's just between Godzilla and King Kong, if that's the case, that's going to be a really short film, because if, let's take for instance, if Godzilla was the size of this microphone here, there's King Kong. He's about that big. That's probably even being generous, because the new Godzilla is well over 300 feet tall. He's like 370 feet tall. Kong is 30, maybe 40. So with this new version, if they are going to update it, if Kong is now going to be several hundred feet tall, first off, it'll be an unusually large monkey. You'll be able to see him probably from the sea going to the island. He's going to be that big. So I really don't know exactly what their plans are. I do kind of hope that we are going to get that, because that seems to be the go-to thing now. There was a report that came out today. I'm just going to briefly touch on it. It's not part of my show notes at all. But Dan Aykroyd is looking at Marvel's pattern to continue on the Ghostbusters franchise, and they're going to be developing a sort of shared universe. I think that's absolutely stupid. And I tweeted out today, I'm done. I said it before and I'll say it again. I'm done with Ghostbusters. Anything further on with this franchise, I'm done. Because all they're doing right now is they're like, oh, what about this idea? What about this idea? What about this idea? Let's just do this. And it's just gonna be terrible. It's gonna be horrible, because Ghostbusters was a type of a movie that was a product of its time. It came out at that time, and that's why it worked. Maybe you could revamp it. Maybe it would work. But the powers that be who are involved right now are looking at just getting the namesake out there. They do not care about the quality. And you can tell by every couple of months, there's a new idea. And it's because they don't know what they want. They just want a new project. They just want a new Ghostbusters movie. They don't care about what the quality is going to be. And to me, that's the exact wrong opinion. Or the exact wrong way to be looking at developing this property. You have a gold mine when it comes to the Ghostbusters. You have a complete franchise there that you could do right, but you need the right people, and only at that point will they have succeeded. But up until now, or everything that we heard from then until now has been terrible, has been a horrible idea. First off, the all-female Ghostbusters. The only reason that I think that is stupid is because that's being gender specific. If you're going to have a new team, have it be based on the actors. Write them gender non-specific. Do what they did with Alien. Alien should be the spec script that everybody goes to, because they wrote that script without any of the characters being a specific gender. Doesn't need to be man or woman. You cast the right actors for those roles, and if you cast a certain actor, you then will adjust the role to fit them better. But before that, you do not just specify it's going to be an all-female, it's going to be all-male. No. Have it be a combination, have it be all men, have it be all women, but have it be because you found the right people. Don't just go in there with this gimmick. And I'm getting sick and tired of all these reports. And now Dan Aykroyd's coming out again and saying, hey, we're going to be trying to do this shared universe type thing. No. No. I'm done with Ghostbusters. And I'm done talking about it. But anyway, if we are to get some kind of a mashup with Godzilla, with King Kong, and with Pacific Rim, because we are getting Godzilla 2 in 2018. Pacific Rim 2 will be coming out in 2017. Skull Island will be 2016. In 2019 or 2020, I can see a mashup movie happening. Now, whether or not all of these movies are successful is going to be another story. I'm pretty sure that you can guarantee, as long as Godzilla stands on its message that it's sent so far, and has Ghidorah, has Mothra, and has Rodan in the movie, we're going to have a lot of Godzilla action in the movie. And that was what was lacking with Godzilla. Just rewatched it again yesterday. And it really did tick me off how many times they cut away from the action. You build up and build up and build up and then reveal, and then you continue on. You don't build up and build up and build up, then reveal, then hide, then reveal, then hide, then reveal, then hide, then show for about 15 minutes and then call it quits. I think somebody actually counted. There is on screen, there's only about 12 minutes of Godzilla, and the movie is over 2 hours long. No. The last time we had something like that was Iron Man 3, where there was only 22 minutes of Iron Man on screen in Iron Man 3, and it's over a 2-hour movie. Like, no, you called it Iron Man. You don't make Titanic and have Titanic be the last half an hour. You don't do that. But anyway, the movie's going to be opening up on November 4th, 2016. If we do get more information about Skull Island, or the fact that we have somebody like Tom Hiddleston starring, if we get more casting announcements or anything like that, I will definitely update you guys on here. Up until recently, Tom Hiddleston has been the actor who has been rumored to be headlining the upcoming remake of Ben-Hur. Well, as my previous story stated, he just nabbed the lead role in the upcoming adaptation of Skull Island. So it's freed up the main role in Ben-Hur, and none other than Jack Hiddleston has stepped in to take in that role. Now, Jack Hiddleston is probably most known to people from the show Boardwalk Empire. He is also the son of actor Danny Huston and the nephew of Angelica Houston. So, I mean, he's got a very good Hollywood lineage, if you will. But Jack Hiddleston is a phenomenal actor. He's one of those types of character actors who can really just sink into a role. You really do kind of lose him in that. Taken most notably was last year's Kill Your Darlings. I think it was last year. I think it was 2013 movie. But oh my God, was he phenomenal in that film? Like the level of, I don't even really know how to properly describe this. He's a classically trained actor. He's very much like Tom Hiddleston. He's a very classically trained actor. He's a very theatrical actor. Someone who comes from the theater. And you can really tell that with just the way that he pronounces words, his enunciations, and his mannerisms. He's a very theatrically trained actor. And I think that's somebody who will fit very well into Ben-Hur. Ben-Hur is a very theatrical performance. It is going to be kind of a little bit of an over-the-top movie, especially with someone like Timur Bekmambetov directing it, the guy who did Wanted and Abraham Lincoln Vampire Hunter. The one thing about this movie that I am really starting to get behind is the fact that they are not remaking the 1959 film. They are making a more streamlined adaptation of the story, Ben-Hur and the Story of Christ. So, when Jack Hiddleston actually went into audition for the role, though, this is kind of an interesting fact. He was actually he was originally auditioning for the role of Masala, and Masala was kind of the Judah of this, the Judas of this story, where Judah Ben-Hur and Masala grew up as good friends before Rome came in and actually took over their area. Well, when they got a little bit older, Masala left to go, I believe he went to go to school. And he came back 5 years later. He went to school with the Romans. And he came back about 5 years later, and he was very different. He had a very different attitude and personality. And he started to mock Judah Ben-Hur about his religion and about his, his way of life. And he just started to mock him and say that, you're wrong, you're stupid, you're this, you're that. And then he manipulated an accident. There was an accident that happened involving, I believe it was something silly, like a piece of clay roofing fell off and hit the governor. And Masala manipulated the situation so that Judah Ben-Hur was the one who was accused of this, and he was actually sold into slavery and went off went off onto the ships and all that kind of stuff. Well, then he vowed revenge, and that's when he ran into Ildarin. Ildarin will be played by Morgan Freeman in the movie, and Morgan Freeman's going to be the one who mentors and trains Judah Ben-Hur to train or to fight in the chariot races, which is going to be the big third act of the movie, or the big second half of the movie. It all depends on how much of an adaptation they are doing. But this, to me, sounds really great because you get someone the level of quality like Jack Hiddleston involved in this film. I really do think that's going to elevate it. I mean, Jack Houston is not the type of actor really who, I mean, he does need a breakout role, but he's not willing to sacrifice what he has done in his career to sign on to a bad tentpole film or one that could be perceived as bad. I mean, clearly he has gone in and he has seen maybe some of the storyboards. He's talked down with Timur about what the overall look of the film is going to be, what the themes are going to be, how his portrayal is going to be enacted throughout the film, all this kind of stuff. So, I mean, he's not stupid, and he is trying to develop his career in a way that he is going to try to break out. With being such a developed character actor, he's not going to risk that by signing up to a tentpole film that's going to bomb. So that means that this just, to me, bodes well for the film in general. When you get talent like this attached to a film, that means that there is something behind it. Tom Hiddleston was circling this movie, but then Jack Houston came in and nabbed the role. Tom Hiddleston went on to sign on to Skull Island, but still, you get talent like this circling a project, and that can only mean good things. So I'm really looking forward to this property. So far, it's going to open up on, I believe, February 26th, 2016. So this movie's supposed to start to get into production very soon. I think the other day I stated that it's going to be February or March that it gets into production. It may even be getting into production by the end of this year. When we get more information about this, though, I will definitely update you guys on here. Now we have the official announcement about Marvel's worst kept secret. Doctor Strange will be officially hitting theaters on July 8th, 2016, as we've speculated all along. Now, the only things outside of the fact that it's going to be opening in July that we know of is the fact that Scott Derrickson is writing it based on a script written by John Spates, who most recently wrote Prometheus, or at least the original version of Prometheus, and then Damon Lindelof came in and just completely destroyed it. God, I hate what he did to that script. Anyway, we now officially have a Doctor Strange movie in the pipeline. I mean, they kept coming out and saying, well, you know what, we're thinking of doing Doctor Strange. It's like, listen, dude, you've paid someone to become the director of the film. You have a screenplay already developed. You're making the movie. Quit tiptoeing around it. Because that, to me, is the worst kept secret. I mean, everybody knew that this movie, A, was coming when they announced that the director was coming, or that the director was going to be Scott Derrickson. Then, I mean, Joaquin Phoenix is all but signed on to the role, which, yes, he's a great actor, absolutely. I personally don't see him as Doctor Strange. I don't see him fitting into the role at all. Even though he is a chameleon, I don't see him as the role. I don't think that he is the right choice. He's a world-class actor, don't get me wrong. But again, I think that he's a bad choice for the role. Out of the options that did come out, I did think that Benedict Cumberbatch fit the role to the best. Again, out of everybody who was rumored for the role. The one person I would have liked would have been, there was actually somebody else who suggested this, and I thought that it was a really good idea too. But my first choice would have been Viggo Mortensen. Second choice would have been Patrick Dempsey. I've heard Patrick Dempsey's name come around a lot, and I thought that he, you know, I mean, he needs a little bit more work in the acting department, but physically wise, he looks the part. Viggo Mortensen, though, to me, is either going to be, I wanted him to be either Doctor Strange or Roland Deschain. If he's going to be Roland Deschain, then I'm even more happy with that, although it looks like Javier Bardem may still be circling that role. But anyway, I'm getting off topic. The movie is supposed to start to go into production in May of 2015 for their July release date, which could mean that we might see something at Comic-Con. Maybe. If we do, they will have made up for this Comic-Con of last year. Or the one that just passed, I should say, of this year. Because, I mean, I'm going to get off on a little thing here. Some people have been getting mad at everybody for saying, oh, they didn't announce anything. Comic-Con was a letdown. It's like they're not obligated to announce anything at Comic-Con. Granted, yes, that is absolutely true. They are not obligated. Same way that Marvel is not obligated to put an after-credits scene in the movie that's going to continue on their story. Sometimes they will only do it just to have a fun little Easter egg or a fun little after-credits scene like Guardians of the Galaxy. It did not have any impact on the future of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. That being said, Marvel has set, actually Comic-Con themselves, with all of their panels, have set the expectations that people are going to get a unique announcement. That's why these people are paying so much. That's why these people are waiting in line for 13, 14, 15 hours at a time to get into these venues. It's because they expect it. I mean, Marvel has come out year after year after year after year. You know, they announced the lineup of the Avengers. I remember when they announced Iron Man and Ant-Man at Comic-Con. And then a couple of years later, they came out and they said, you know, our next 3 films. I think it was right after Iron Man 2. They did Iron Man 2, and they showed that at Comic-Con too. They showed the first ever footage at Comic-Con well before the movie was coming out. And then the next year they said, and we're doing Captain America, we're doing Thor, and that's going to culminate in the Avengers. And then the next year they came out and they got the entire lineup of the Avengers on stage. It was the first time they had ever been in the same spot together. You know, and then a couple of years ago they announced we got Captain America Winter Soldier, we've got Thor the Dark World, we've got Guardians of the Galaxy, and then I think it was last year they announced that Avengers 2 would be called the Avengers Age of Ultron. So I mean, you know, every year they've come out and they've said, they've given a major announcement. This year they came out and talked about things we already knew they were going to do. We already knew they were going to debut footage from Avengers Age of Ultron because they were already well halfway into filming. We knew they were going to have an Ant-Man panel because Ant-Man had so much turmoil behind the scenes that they needed to really curb that and go in a direction they needed it to go. So when people are coming out and saying that it, you know, we're kind of getting ahead of ourselves and saying that they need to announce something. No, they don't. Technically, you're right, but they've set the expectation for people that this is where they are going to do their announcements. Whether or not they're changing that to D23, which is Disney's big expo that they do every year, or if Marvel's going to create their own. I don't think that they will. I think they'll use Comic-Con for this foreseeable future. It all depends on if Comic-Con stays in San Diego, because that's another contention right now. They're looking for another city to potentially host the largest convention in the world in. But yeah, production is expected to begin in May, which means we're probably going to be getting casting announcements very soon because they're going to need to train. But more on top of that, Marvel also the other day came out and officially unveiled the plot synopsis for Avengers Age of Ultron. And I thought it was really kind of funny that all the news sites out there were running with this as new information when it was categorizing things we already knew. It was just now official from Marvel. But everyone's like, oh, we got the official synopsis. And it's, yeah, Tony Stark accidentally creates Ultron as a way to have like it was a now defunct peacekeeping operation apparently. And things go awry and he has to team up with the Avengers and, you know, to stop this. And they also come across the new twins, the Maximoff twins, Wanda and Peter. And they also will run into Vision. We already knew all that stuff, so I don't know why all the news sites were going with it. The only thing out of that synopsis that I found was interesting was that they've almost confirmed now that Vision will be a continuation of Jarvis. That Jarvis will actually be, or that Vision will be a physical manifestation of Jarvis. Because they said Paul Bettany returns as Vision. Or a likely foe in a new light, or something along those lines is how they worded it. But it looks as though Jarvis will become Vision, and that will be the through line. And even in the original Avengers, there was a section in the movie that Joss Whedon had written, but they cut out, and it was where Jarvis was basically talking about he was starting to show his malevolent side. He was starting to show, his malevolent side. His nasty side, if you will, talking about how he really is a robot, he really is emotionless, and how, you know, do you really need to worry about the lives of all these other people? You know, I don't care about those, or something along those lines. But originally, Joss Whedon had planted the Easter egg that Jarvis would be turning bad in some form. The original thought was that because Tony Stark was going to be creating Ultron instead of Hank Pym, that Ultron was actually going to be Jarvis, that Paul Bettany was going to come in. And then they said, no, we're casting James Spader. He's going to be playing Ultron, which I think is phenomenal casting. I cannot wait to see what his portrayal of that character is going to be like. But I'm really intrigued to see what they do with Vision and what they're able to do. I mean, we got our first real look at him last week. It was still concept art, but still, we got a great kind of idea of what he's going to look like. But as it stands right now, we should be expecting an Age of Ultron trailer to drop within a month. It'll probably be sometime middle to late October that we'll get the first trailer for the movie. Whether or not it's just a teaser trailer, I'm assuming it's going to be a teaser trailer. They're not going to show the sizzle reel that they showed us, or that they showed at Comic-Con. But yeah, I mean, we now officially have Doctor Strange. Doctor Strange is officially part of Phase 3. I'm just hoping that we get the Captain Marvel and the Black Panther announcements at Comic-Con next year, because those are the two properties I think people are waiting to see the most. Yeah, I mean, I'm really excited about this. I've been championing Doctor Strange for a while. I'm really glad that we finally now have the official announcement, and I can't wait to see how it fits into the overall Marvel Cinematic Universe, because this is going to be a big departure. They're going into the supernatural realm now. So I'm excited to see what they're able to do with it, getting a horror director to come in. This is going to have a really great mood and look and tone. I'm really excited for this. It's going to open up July 6th, 2016. When we finally get the official casting announcement, though, I will definitely update you guys on here. Well, that'll do it for us here on Coming Soon Movie News with Niklsun. Thank you so much for watching. You guys have been a great audience. You can go ahead and click subscribe there in the bottom corner. You can get updates whenever we post a new video. You can also find me on Twitter at Niklsun, Niklsun, for all of your movie updates. And you can also go and give a like on our Facebook page at facebook.com/movie news with Niklsun. If you guys ever have a comment or a question you'd like to have discussed on the show, you can put a comment in the comment section, or you can email me at movienewswithniklsun@gmail.com. And until next time, you guys enjoy the rest of your day. Take care.